Hi, Year 7. Right, here we are, second week of, and the last week for some of you, the last week of this session before we enter term 5 and 6, the summer terms. Right, last week, let's get on with today's work. Last week, you were rendering, shading wildlife habitats from these images that I selected for you, either the bird box, the bat box, the bug hotel, or if you were tracing the hedgehog home, you should have traced that and added some colour to that as well. Now remember, the whole point of this is we are trying to make a realistic drawing, okay? You are not primary school kids anymore, you are secondary school, and as you go through your design and technology work at KSA, you need to become better and better at presenting your drawings and your design ideas. So that is why we're doing this particular task. Now, you may have noticed I have been working into my bird box since last week's video, and I've tried to improve it. There's a couple of things I've done. Finished off the top, made the side a bit darker, twiddled around with the front, did the little stick out the front, did the pole that the bird box is sitting on, and I've also applied that thick and thin line technique. Can you remember we did that in November? So if you see an object like this, and this is a perfect example, this line here, I can see this surface, but I can't see underneath on this drawing, but there would be a surface underneath there, wouldn't there? So this line I've done with a brown dark colour pencil and made it a little bit thicker and a little bit darker. This edge here, I can see this side, but I can't see around the back of the bird box, so I've made that line thicker. And basically on this shape here, it is all of the outside edges, okay? And just by doing that, it makes the drawing stand out a little bit more than if you just left it as it was. Now today's lesson, you are going to need a ruler or a straight edge, okay, and you're going to need colour pencils again, because what we're going to do today is a technique called settling the image onto a page, which is a posh way of saying we're going to put a background behind this bird box, or your bat box, or your bug hotel, or your hedgehog home, or whatever else you may have designed, okay? Now, what we're going to do, we're not going to do... oh, by the way, I've done my butterfly. But Mr. Freeman, you haven't done it in very pretty colours. No, I haven't done it in very pretty colours because you don't see the colours of a butterfly until it opens its wings. When a butterfly has folded its wings, it's fairly dark, almost black. So I've added a little bit of colour into my butterfly, but not a lot. And you'll see why I've talked about that in just a second. So we're going to include it in our background design. We're not going to do a pretty background design. We're not going to do flowers. We're not going to do a sky. We're going to do a technique which is just called, as I've already said, settling the image onto a page. And this is why you need a ruler and a colour pencil. I'm going to choose a fairly light green colour pencil for this background, because you kind of associate wildlife habitats with the outside, the green environment, but you could go for any colour. It can be absolutely any colour. I just quite like the idea of doing green because it's spring. So what we're going to do is this. I need to sit down to do this bit. Okay, so we've got a bird box, we've got a butterfly, and I want to combine the butterfly with the bird box, and I want to put a background behind all of this. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to literally draw a rectangle behind the bird box, but it's not going to cover the whole of the bird box, and it will be easier for me to show you rather than to explain that. So what I'm going to do, so I've done a green line at the bottom here. Now I'm going to do one that goes up to the middle of the butterfly there, and then I'm going to do another horizontal line at the top, kind of from the middle of the butterfly to the roof of the bird box, and then I'm going to do another vertical line over here. So that's what I mean by drawing a rectangle that doesn't cover the whole of the bird box. So I'm not doing a rectangle that encloses all of those objects. I've gone up to a bit of the butterfly, from the butterfly to the top, so there's still this bit of the bird box on ordinary white paper. Now what we're going to do then, using the same colour pencil as you did the outline, you are then going to shade it in. And again, I'm working on a bit of a wobbly table, so if there is a wobble on the image, I do apologise. As you're doing this, can you keep at the back of your mind all the time that you are trying to do quality rendering, shading, not primary school rendering. It is not colouring in. It is applying a background colour. Now, I have decided that I'm not going to go all the way down to the bottom. I'm going to fade that green out until it almost becomes invisible. So I've got a blend of green going from there down to a light colour, and that just leaves that outline just there. Now what I will also do, I'm going to work back into this with a slightly darker green to make that blend even more obvious. So I'm going to go back to the butterfly again. Don't worry about going over its legs, they're printed in black, so that won't matter. This is a bit trickier because I don't want to make this look too grainy, this colour pencil. So I'm trying to use the edge, not the point. I'm trying to hold the pencil almost as flat as I dare when I am adding some colour. Again, just take that down and fade it out a little bit. I'm going to go in with a third darker green colour pencil. I'm quite lucky because I've got a tin of colour pencils by my side here. I know in school you might be a bit more restricted in colours. I'm only going to do that top corner actually. Just like that. Just a little bit around the butterfly. And leave it at that. Just add a little bit more maybe. So this is a technique used by graphic designers. So it's just a rectangle of colour to link up the images that we originally had. So we had a butterfly sort of sticking out on its own, and we had this bird box sort of on its own on the paper, and by drawing this rectangle behind the bird box which touches the butterfly, you've combined the two things together, and that makes a better presentation. Okay, now that's going to take a little bit of time, especially if you do what I did and go back into your drawings from last week and try to do the thick and thin line techniques and try to improve your shading again. So try doing that on whatever design you were working on last week. Don't be satisfied with just doing one wildlife habitat. If you finish one, don't just sit there doing nothing. Go on to another one. Try doing some more techniques on another design, okay? And I don't think, oh no, I haven't got my bug hotel and my hedgehog home underneath here. But you can do lots of rendering, lots of shading, including the little black and white drawings of wildlife that I've put on there, and try to incorporate those into the background as best you can. And that is settling an image onto a page. Take your time, do not rush this, and I look forward to seeing some of your results. Thank you very much, guys.